Life is a constant cycle of seasons, some we welcome and some we endure. There are times when everything lines up, when we feel in rhythm with our purpose, our goals, our dreams. But then, life happens, distractions creep in, delays turn into detours, and before we know it, we're off track. But here's the good news: you can get back on track. You can begin again. You can make a new decision, take a new step, write a new story, because it's not what happens that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens. So today, let's talk about that comeback. Not the flashy kind, but the quiet, consistent one. The one that starts with a decision, a plan, and a little bit of discipline. Every single day, taking responsibility for where you are is the first and most important step in getting back on track. It's easy to blame circumstances. Your job, your upbringing, your boss, the economy, the weather, the government, or just bad luck. But none of that helps you move forward. In fact, the moment you assign responsibility to something outside yourself, you also give away your power. You're saying, I can't change my life until this changes. And that is a dangerous mindset. Now, let's be clear. Life does happen. People go through hardships, setbacks, heartbreaks, and losses. But still, the truth remains, what you do next is always up to you. Jim Rohn used to say, you cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. That's where your real power is. In the ability to look at your life with clarity and say, this is where I am, and I am the one who got me here. Not out of guilt, not out of shame, but out of awareness. Because awareness is the beginning of transformation. Until you own the results of your life, you can't improve them. Think of it like standing in front of a map in a mall. You want to get to a certain store, but first, you have to find that little red dot that says, you are here. Without knowing where you are, no amount of planning will help. And when you take responsibility for where you are, you find that red dot. You stop guessing, stop hoping, and start knowing. This shift in mindset also changes your relationship with failure. You no longer fear it, you learn from it. Because if you're responsible for your actions, then every mistake becomes feedback. Every misstep becomes a lesson. You're not a victim of your past, you're a student of it. And students grow, students improve, students eventually master the very things that once held them back. Taking responsibility also gives you clarity. You begin to see the patterns that led you off track. Was it procrastination? Was it the wrong influences? Was it a lack of vision? Whatever it was, now you know. And what you know, you can change. Responsibility lets you stop fighting ghosts and start solving real problems. It brings your energy back to the present moment, where your power actually is. Jim Rohn often said, if you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree. That's the spirit of responsibility. It's not about blaming yourself. It's about trusting yourself. Trusting that even if you've fallen short before, you still have what it takes to rise again. It's a statement of ownership, of maturity, of strength. It's saying, I may have taken a wrong turn, but I've still got the wheel in my hands. When life knocks you off course, it's not just your habits or schedule that gets disrupted. It's often your connection to your why. That deeper reason behind why you started in the first place. Goals without purpose feel like chores, but when your goals are fueled by a clear and meaningful why, they become powerful. Motivation returns, energy rises, and direction becomes clearer. Jim Rohn often spoke about the power of reasons. He said, if the why is strong enough, the how becomes easy. That's the truth. A strong why can pull you through almost anything. Sometimes we drift off track not because we're lazy, but because we've lost sight of the reason that got us started. Maybe life got busy. Maybe discouragement crept in. Maybe you faced failure and forgot what the journey was really about. That's why it's crucial to pause, take a step back, and reconnect with your reasons. Revisit that vision that once sparked your fire. Was it freedom? Was it your family? Was it a desire to live a life that mattered? Get quiet enough to hear it again. You don't need 100 reasons. You just need a few that matter deeply to you. Not the ones that sound good on paper, but the ones that make your heart beat a little faster. The kind of reasons that pull you out of bed when you're tired. The kind that make you push through the tough days. That's your fuel, and without that fuel, it doesn't matter how good your plan is. you'll burn out. Reconnecting with your why also brings emotion back into your life, and emotion is what drives action. Logic leads to conclusion, but emotion leads to execution. If you've been going through the motions, chances are you've been trying to move with your head and not your heart. That's why reconnecting with your why brings clarity. It reminds you that this isn't just a task list, it's a mission. It's a calling, and that's the kind of thinking that gets you moving again. Jim used to talk about reasons that pierce the heart. Those are the reasons you write down and keep in your wallet, the ones you look at when you're tired or tempted to give up. Maybe it's a promise you made to yourself. Maybe it's about not repeating the past. Maybe it's about creating a future for your kids that you never had. Whatever it is, let it move you, let it be real. Because when your why is honest and powerful, you'll stop needing so much motivation from the outside. The drive will come from within. And once you reconnect with your why, you start seeing the path again. Obstacles shrink, distractions fade, and the energy to begin again starts flowing back in. You realize that this journey was never about perfection. It was about purpose. And purpose has a way of straightening your spine, lifting your chin, and pointing your feet in the right direction. Cleaning up your daily habits is one of the most practical and powerful ways to get back on track. It's not always the big, dramatic decisions that change your life. It's the small ones you make every single day. Jim Rohn used to say, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." And the opposite is also true. Failure is just a few errors in judgment, repeated over time. The problem is, most people don't drift off course overnight. It happens gradually, as small bad habits sneak in and compound. Habits are the quiet architects of your destiny. They're shaping your life whether you're paying attention or not. If your habits are aligned with your goals, they carry you forward like a current. But if your habits are pulling you in the opposite direction, you'll constantly feel like you're swimming upstream. That's why it's so important to stop and take inventory. Ask yourself, what am I doing daily that's building me, and what am I doing that's breaking me? When you've been off track for a while, your routines can become cluttered. Maybe you're sleeping too late, eating poorly, spending too much time on your phone, skipping workouts, or saying yes to too many distractions. The answer isn't to overhaul everything overnight. That leads to frustration. The better path is to clean up, one habit at a time. Identify just one or two simple disciplines that, if done daily, would start turning the tide. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to plan your day. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a good book. Maybe it's journaling or stretching or choosing water over soda. The power is in the consistency. Small disciplines, when done consistently, create momentum. And momentum is everything when you're trying to get back on track. It doesn't take massive effort. It takes daily effort. Consistency builds confidence, and confidence fuels progress. The more you follow through on the little things, the more trust you build with yourself. And once you start trusting yourself again, getting back on track doesn't feel impossible anymore. It starts to feel inevitable. Your habits also affect your mindset more than you realize. When you clean up your physical habits, like how you sleep, move, and eat, it directly impacts your energy, focus, and motivation. Mental clarity improves when your daily choices support your well-being. You start to feel lighter, more capable, more in control, and that feeling creates a ripple effect into every area of your life. Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't just get through the day, get from the day." That kind of mindset only comes when your habits are intentional. When your days are built with purpose, not just filled with activity. So many people are busy but going nowhere. But when your daily habits are clean and aligned, your days start to count. You're not just surviving, you're building something. You're designing your life one small choice at a time. Setting clear, simple goals is like turning on the headlights when driving through a dark road. Without them, you may be moving, but you won't know where you're going. When you've fallen off track, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. The mountain of things you feel you should be doing can paralyze you. That's why clarity is key. Jim Rohn often said, goals, there's no telling what you can do when you get inspired by them. There's no telling what you can do when you believe in them. And there's no telling what will happen when you act upon them. But it all starts with getting clear. Most people don't lack motivation, they lack direction, and the problem with vague goals is that they don't activate your focus. Saying, "I want to get in shape," or "I want to do better," is not enough. You need something more specific, more grounded. What does better look like? What does in shape actually mean for you? A clear goal is measurable, visible, and trackable. It gives your actions a target. When the target is blurry, your aim will be off. But when the target is sharp, your energy naturally flows in the right direction. Goals don't have to be massive to be meaningful. In fact, when you're trying to get back on track, smaller goals are often more powerful. They build confidence and create quick wins. Those little victories give you something to celebrate and something to build on. Maybe your goal is to walk 15 minutes a day, read one book a month, or save a certain amount of money each week. The size of the goal doesn't matter as much as the clarity of it. Because once your goal is clear, your actions become intentional. Clarity also brings peace. It removes the noise and guesswork from your days. You don't wake up wondering what to do. You wake up with a plan. You know what to say yes to and what to say no to. Distractions lose their power when your goals are in focus. Jim Rohn would say, "Discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. Lack of discipline inevitably leads to failure. But discipline is easier when it's tied to a clear goal. When you know what you're working toward, the sacrifices make sense. The hard work has a purpose behind it." There's also something powerful that happens when you write your goals down. A written goal has energy. It takes an idea from your mind and plants it in the real world. It turns a wish into a commitment. Goals that stay in your head are easy to forget or ignore, but goals written down and reviewed daily act as a compass. They keep you from drifting. They remind you of what matters, especially on the days when your motivation is low or your schedule is chaotic. Clear, simple goals don't just move you forward, they create alignment. They align your habits, your time, your decisions, and your environment. And that alignment is what creates progress that lasts. It's what turns scattered effort into focused momentum. Surrounding yourself with the right people is one of the most underestimated strategies for getting back on track. Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That's not just a catchy quote. It's a principle that shapes your mindset, your habits, your standards, and your energy. When you're around people who are growing, who think big, who act with discipline, it rubs off on you. You start to expect more from yourself. But when you're surrounded by negativity, complacency, or low standards, it pulls you down without you even realizing it. Energy is contagious. Whether it's positive or negative, you absorb the atmosphere around you. That's why being intentional about your environment is so important, especially when you're trying to reset your life. You need people who remind you of who you're becoming, not just who you've been. People who challenge you, not enable your excuses. Friends, mentors, or even voices you follow online. Make sure they're building your mindset, not breaking it. It's not about cutting everyone off or judging others. It's about being selective with your influence. Not everyone deserves front row access to your life. Some people are fine for small talk, but not for strategy. Some are good for comfort, but not for growth. You have to know the difference. And sometimes, the shift starts with simply spending less time around the wrong energy and more time in places where inspiration lives. Books, podcasts, conversations, events. Even if you don't have access to the perfect circle yet, you can start feeding your mind with the voices of people who lift you. Accountability is another reason the right people matter. When you surround yourself with disciplined, purpose-driven people, they won't let you stay stuck. They'll check on you, they'll push you, they'll remind you of your goals when you forget. You don't have to carry the whole load alone. Sometimes just knowing that someone else believes in you is enough to get you moving again. Progress accelerates when it's shared. Growth multiplies when it's supported. Being around the right people also expands your vision. You start to see new possibilities just by watching how they think, how they work, how they approach challenges. Success becomes less mysterious and more practical. You see patterns, you pick up habits, you learn that greatness isn't magic, it's modeled. And when you spend enough time with people who are climbing, you naturally begin to climb too. Your circle should reflect your future, not your fears. Surround yourself with those who are going somewhere, and you'll find the path clearer, the journey lighter, and the climb more exciting. The conversations you have, the standards you adopt, and the actions you take are all shaped by your community. If you want to raise your life, raise your environment. Let it be a mirror of your potential, not your past. Discipline is the bridge back. When life throws you off track, it's not motivation that will save you, it's discipline. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning long after the excitement fades. Jim Rohn said, "Discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built." It's what separates wishes from results and intentions from accomplishments. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's showing up again and again, even when the progress feels slow or invisible. When things fall apart, discipline is the structure that holds you together. It gives shape to your days, direction to your actions, and momentum to your efforts. Without discipline, even the best goals and the strongest reasons remain nothing more than ideas. But with discipline, you start to rebuild. You start to stack small wins. You begin to trust yourself again, one consistent action at a time. Discipline isn't harsh, it's empowering. It reminds you that no matter how far you've drifted, you are still in control of your decisions. Discipline also brings clarity. It cuts through the noise of excuses, distractions, and emotions. It doesn't ask if you're in the mood. It reminds you of your mission. Discipline is the voice that says, "Do it anyway." And the more you listen to that voice, the stronger it becomes. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you reinforce your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who starts and stops, and begin seeing yourself as someone who follows through. There's a compound effect to discipline. At first, the actions feel small and even insignificant. But over time, those small, repeated disciplines build a foundation that's unshakable. Whether it's waking up earlier, planning your day, working out, or sticking to your reading habit, each act of discipline adds to your momentum. Eventually, discipline becomes part of who you are. It's no longer something you force, but something you live. Discipline is also deeply tied to self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build confidence. Every time you honor your schedule, your plan, your process, you're casting a vote for the kind of person you want to become. That's powerful, because getting back on track isn't just about changing your habits. It's about rebuilding your identity. It's about seeing yourself as someone who can rise again, stay the course, and finish what they started. Jim Rohn would often say, "We must all suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret can last a lifetime." Discipline may feel difficult in the moment, but it leads to a life that feels light, directed, and meaningful. It trains your mind to be stronger than your feelings, your values to be louder than your doubts, and your purpose to be greater than your obstacles. Absolutely. Here's a powerful and uplifting conclusion to your motivational speech, How to Get Back on Track. Written in a style inspired by Jim Rohn, calm, wise, reflective, and full of encouragement, life doesn't ask us to be perfect. It asks us to be committed. Committed to growing, to learning, to standing back up after we fall. The truth is, everyone gets off track at some point. Everyone faces moments when the plan slips, the vision fades, or the habits fall apart. That's part of the human experience. But the beautiful thing about life is this: no matter how far you've drifted, the way back is never closed. The door to change is always open, and the key is in your hands. Getting back on track is not about guilt. It's not about beating yourself up or regretting the time that's been lost. It's about taking ownership, finding clarity, simplifying your steps, and beginning again, with purpose, with strength, and with a renewed sense of vision. It's about remembering your why, cleaning up what's been cluttered, and building again with the quiet power of discipline. It's about choosing your circle wisely, listening to the right voices, and feeding your mind with thoughts that elevate you instead of shrink you. The journey back might not be fast. It might not be flashy. But it's real, and every step matters. Every small act of discipline, every early morning, every intentional choice. You're laying bricks, you're building a life. And as Jim Rohn would often say, the same wind blows on us all. It's the set of the sail that determines the direction we go. You have the power to set that sail, not tomorrow, not someday, but today. So whether you've been off track for a week, a month, or even years, let today be your pivot point. Let this be the moment you decide to come back stronger, clearer, and more determined than ever. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for everything to feel right. Start where you are with what you have and begin to move, inch by inch, step by step. Because the path back to your best self isn't waiting out there somewhere, it starts within you. And every great comeback story starts with a single decision. The decision to begin again.